It's interesting, when you look at what's happened in the technology industry, networking's really been the last holdout of virtualization. In this whole software is eating the world, the network steadfastly refused to move until now. So whilst we've seen software really consume and fundamentally change other areas of technology, the WAN's really held out until now. So it's only just now that we're starting to see the impact of software across networks. Well, again, it's really about the flexibility that you get from putting a software layer over the top of networks. So in the same way that virtualization enabled a lot of workloads to move around, with SD-WAN, again, you get to separate and provide a smart layer of software that you can program, and you can put policies in place that let you run the network the way that you want to run it without fundamentally replumbing everything underneath every time. So it's really about flexibility and agility in the modern age. Well, it's a very interesting point, because fundamentally what's changed is when we used to have branch environments, and here in Australia, for example, you typically have an office in Sydney, an office in Melbourne, you'd connect them and you'd have your own private network. That was great, except now actually the application isn't in Sydney anymore, the application's in the cloud, and the user that used to be sat in the office in Melbourne is now sat in the Starbucks cafe. So actually the whole network infrastructure that we built no longer serves actually how we're working anymore. We need to cater for people working remotely, and we also need to cater for the fact that the workloads are in a different environment. They're not on premises anymore, they're actually scattered in the cloud. I think it's beginning to come. So I think as we start talking more about customer experience, we start talking more about digital transformation, those are fundamentally driven by a change in the way that we look at applications. And you've got customers now looking at doing way more with applications, lots of strong SaaS adoption, quick to spin up applications. Those applications need fundamentally different network parameters underneath them. So the whole needs of the network and what you need to provide from that in a world of applications has fundamentally changed. And that's really one of the big things that SD-WAN enables. Well, the real questions are around cost, flexibility, agility, and really where your workloads are right now. So if you're in the environment where your people are starting to move around, you've got more remote working, you're working from satellite offices, your workloads are fundamentally changed. So we all know that network bandwidth is only really going one way. So we're seeing more consumption and more applications. And you also need to know much more about what those applications are doing. You need to know more about the traffic, how to prioritize it, but also what's happening inside those applications. There's a security concept to SD-WAN that's also important. How do you start thinking about applying those policies so you can secure individual applications and the behavior of those applications in your environment? And that's again what SD-WAN enables. The main benefits, we actually did some research as TRA around SD-WAN benefits. The primary benefits that came out for companies, they talked about agility, they talked about flexibility, and they talked about cost savings. So certainly some of the three big drivers that we're seeing from customers are in those areas. The real challenge for most organizations is if you're going to modernize your infrastructure and you want to look at transformation, the WAN is just another component that you have to look at. You might not want to, but in the same way that you looked at what workloads you need to move to the cloud, how you need to start looking at SaaS applications, how you modernize the workplace and the tools that your staff have, the WAN is another thing you've got to add to your to-do list.